The roles have reversed.
Case about
Speaking
it.
of sploogey, let's do Octoon Baby. I could splooge all over that.
It's fine. It's fine. God.
And we're recording.
I've given a name to my podcast, and it is Talking Over Albums. This is the celebration. This is episode 10. We've reached a landmark.
Woo.
And for episode 10, we are doing... Wait, okay, rewind.
No.
We're here in the Kinnears Lounge, joined by Michael J. Fox and you. Introduce yourself.
Huey Crystal Lewis.
Oh yeah, last episode I realized...
Crystal Gale, obviously.
Crystal Gale, hello.
Yeah, and the last one I realized I had never said my name in any of them. I was like, oh yeah, hi, I'm Brett. It feels sort of irrelevant because no one gives a shit who we are. They only care whether we can inform them and make them giggle.
Hopefully both.
Have you sufficiently introduced yourselves?
Okay. Hey, who are you?
Yes.
I'm Chris.
You can make up facts if you want to cover your tracks for future indictments.
She's awesome. I think that's all you really need to know.
You're related to Johnny Depp?
I have an actual genetic relative that was known in newspapers as the Love Pirate.
Ooh, that'd be a good nickname, the Love Sparrow.
He was really big on bigamous underage women marriages.
Who was the Love Vigilante? Or was that just a New Order song?
He got off on a misdemeanor.
Technicality.
Nobody knows who he was.
The Love Felon.
History doesn't remember.
That doesn't have quite the ring to it.
Nothing beats the Love Pirate. Whoever made that name up in the
Nobody
newspapers
ever
was
remembers
a
the
genius.
misdemeanors.
The Love Perpetrator.
Only the guy that went to prison for life because he was in love with every woman he met.
Alright, well, this is episode 10.
As long as they were underage.
I think that's a perfect intro into the Prince.
Yeah. Prince, the love pirate of our times.
Our non sequitur.
Love
Yes.
Under the Cherry Moon.
He is a love
/
vigilante. Yes, we're finally doing Prince's 1986 album
Opus.
The long-awaited.
Parade, under the soundtrack from the motion picture Under the Cherry Moon.
We are going to give it a shorter title, though, right?
It's just Parade.
Yeah,
Under the Cherry Moon makes more sense.
Block.
Okay, there's the song Christopher Tracy's Parade, but like I don't really get the parade vibe. Maybe like the magazine Parade, like a fashionista thing. Whatever. I always call it Under the Cherry Moon because I think
Why
it's a
is
better
it called
title.
Parade?
But okay, I didn't really think of what I was going to say here to begin this, but all right. I guess I'll put some context to it. Neither of you have heard this other than Kiss, right?
Nope.
I
hope to recognize at least one other song.
There'll probably be two others that you recognize. This is another milestone for the podcast. This is the first album that would be in my top 150 favorite albums of all time. So I genuinely love this album.
Every other album is more than 150 back.
I used to genuinely love Their Majesty's Satanic Request until I did it in this podcast and got ruined.
You're welcome.
But yes, so context for this one, this is Prince's weird middle period where he was doing more flowery...
Can't wait to talk you into loving other albums.
Yeah. This is the one where he went from... so this is two after Purple Rain. So up until and including Purple Rain, it was more like hard driving synth stuff where he was doing it all pretty much.
Purple Rain.
Well, he was using the Revolution as his live band, and they would occasionally sprinkle in things, but he would pretty much do the albums all himself. And then after Purple Rain was the critical failure of Around the World in a Day, where he was trying to get more psychedelic. That's the one that has Raspberry Beret.
Yeah.
And has some weird songs where he's getting a little bit more political.
Kind of jamming into his
yeah.
more purpleness.
Yeah, like abstract and political, and he was actually getting more people to contribute on the album other than him just doing it all himself. So that was the beginning of this sort of like not really psychedelic, but like flowery, more free-flowing, I guess.
This is kind of in between him following a more artistic bent as opposed to, I want people to love me hit thing, maybe. It's like in the middle somewhere.
So you could tell he reached the critical and commercial mass success of Purple Rain, then wanted to branch off into something else. So you can't really define Prince because it's not really this period there, because you have Around the World in a Day, Under the Cherry Moon, but then you have right after this one is Sign of the Times, which is just timeless Prince album, doesn't fit into any category. But then right after that is Glam Slam, which completely fits with Around the World in a Day and Under the Cherry Moon. So you can't just put like a distinct category, but I'm just saying in general, this is Prince's more flowery period. So Kiss, I guess, is the only song you know here, which doesn't sound like any other song on the album. So you're in for a surprise, I guess. It's pleasant. Should be pleasant to you. I love it.
Okay.
I love this era of Prince. The movie sucks. Should we talk about the movie? No.
It was in black and white.
Yeah.
Loved the trailer.
Yeah, great trailer. One of the best trailers of all time.
I don't think I ever even... Was it ever even like on HBO or anything? Because I don't remember it at all.
Folks, if you have Comcast, you can
$3.99.
get it for $3.99 to rent.
Send me $3.99
Even
so I
better.
can watch it again.
Just
even
get
better,
it on DVD for $1
Just
at
go
the...
look it up and watch the trailer for free. It's awesome.
Yeah, I don't.
You will not regret this.
With Purple Rain and Purple Rain, the album, there's a symbiosis to them that makes sense. Even the Graffiti Bridge movie, they make sense in a really crappy way. But these are completely disjointed. It's from the trailer you guys saw. It's Prince trying to a throwback to 1940s kind of romantic film noir, European French new wave,
but with really cool cars.
But like I said, Prince is an exciting person, but doesn't have screen presence or enough charisma to drive a film on his own. He's not a Humphrey Bogart type of personality in the least. So it was a miserable failure. But I think it's a nice, interesting train wreck to watch. So I guess I would recommend it if you love Prince and are a completionist. All right, so does
just
anyone
from the trailer, I'm going to assume he was trying to play both the Humphrey Bogart part and the Sam part.
Yes. Oh, I thought you were going to say and Ingrid Bergman.
Yeah, that's where I thought you were going. But
No,
I'm going to play both the lead roles in one character because I'm Prince and I can do that.
So another.
All right, anything?
the witty
wait.
repartee.
Anything you know about Prince?
Yeah. Another lead-in would be, all right, this is 1986. This is after Purple Rain. You guys were alive at this point, so you were at least semi-aware of what was going on. So what was or at least in retrospect, what was your impression of Prince after the height of his stardom at this particular point?
I lived in a basement by the river. Go.
Just like
everything
Prince.
everything was entertaining to me.
Little known fact: Prince, his mansion at Paisley Park, he spent most of his time in a trailer, slightly off property.
Go, Chris. It's your turn. Say something you know about Prince.
I was a teenager, and I remember the When Doves Cry song. I don't know. It was the 80s. It's all blur.
In 86? Jesus, you're still listening to that? Like, I'd move
I listened
on.
to Purple Rain for a real long time.
I remember when Prince.
That was right around the time that Bon
pants.
Jovi came out. So there was a lot of competition for your going to a concert dollar.
Like I had going to the concert dollars. What do you?
So you remember Purple Rain? Yeah.
Shot to the heart.
You're to blame. You give love a purple rain.
I don't know.
I think Prince wrote that.
Yeah, I had some of this shit going on in the 86.
It's very melodramatic. There was so much melodrama going on. It's like, when you look back now, you go, was he all that melodramatic? If you listen to stuff that was happening at the time?
He did
I
see
pretty
him.
much just liked everything Prince did.
Even in metal, it was all like Judas Priest and stuff, which is funny because that's like a big thing again. They put out a new album and they're like, oh, we're gonna play it on the radio. It's the same melodramatic crap they were playing in the 80s. I mean, I'll listen to it, but I like Rob Halford and his 15 octaves of singing.
I don't.
But it's like...
So John Bon Jovi, he saw a million faces, and he rocked them all.
What did Prince do?
Well, yeah, what did Prince... I think he saw like 10 million faces, and he them all.
With a big purple dog.
So you have no other impressions of after Purple Rain Prince. You went into a coma and were just still thinking of When Doves Cry.
Can I say something? After Purple Rain, these things came out really like bam, bam. They just kept slamming out
For his entire life.
And
God,
but what I'm saying is like you never got to
digest
to get a new impression of anything, and he just kind of, in my opinion, sort of faded away. I don't know how it was for you.
Too busy
I
sticking
wasn't
his
so much a
butt in
fan,
your face.
but I remember like Purple Rain came out and like everybody liked it, and then it was like, well, Prince just kind of faded away. Like he just kept making albums that it went, this is a 10, this is a 8, this is a 6. It just kept until there wasn't anything.
You're saying something bad about Prince Bell.
No, I didn't. I don't think it's bad.
No, I know what you mean, but
it's just that. To me, from my opinion, it was like this train that was going, and I was just like, oh, we're getting to the caboose now. It wasn't any... I don't know what it was for a fan.
Well,
I just...
Okay, let me say, obviously I was way after the fact. I was born in 85, so I don't know how it was exactly then, but I guess when you're coming from like this massive like perfection from like 1981 to most of the 80s, he was pretty much... Yeah, in like the early 90s, he was pretty much perfect. So, yeah, I wasn't living in it, but I've studied the discography enough where you can see the general decline. The general malaise. Like, obviously there's spikes up until a certain point, and then it really hit a dead spot when he went into was writing the slave thing on his cheek, and then that was like that was like a prolonged dip where he just was not interested.
That's all I'm saying, is like, where it was like, I don't think the art, like, you get older and you realize that things are more artistic. It's not about what gets played on the radio, but when you're young and you're in it, it's what gets played on the radio, and you don't pay attention to anything else.
Yeah.
You don't have time to. Like, you're busy with being a teenager or doing whatever.
So I think we should get deep into Prince's psychological problems. No, but I don't want to like prolong it. Whatever, I can edit it down.
Oh, and his real name was Prince Albert.
Prince
in a can.
What's that rum called? What? The knockoff rum. Not Sailor Jerry. Captain... No, the other one. It's not Captain Morgan.
Prince Albert? In a can?
It's Captain Nelson. Prince Rogers Nelson. I don't...
Right.
What?
Admiral Nelson.
So, all right. Wrapping up the intro. I think Prince... is God.
Okay.
Go on.
I lost my train of thought. Prince came back into the world, as far as I was concerned, with the album that had 7 on it, and Sexy Mother.
Black
Which
album.
one is that?
You mean Sexy MF?
Sexy MF.
Yeah. And Cream.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's one of the new Power Generation.
Those are 2
ones.
different albums, but
who in this house
Cream's
know about the Quake?
One.
I mean, Relay. Damn. Well, there was this...
Like, he never really went away.
That's why we're having trouble, is because he went through a really weird trajectory. He just had,
one really good song on every other album, and he made 6 albums a year. So, he had, 3 songs a year that everybody's paying attention
so he still has a greatest hits collection. You just have
insane.
to... If you feel compelled to, you have to sift through a ton of bullshit. but there's still gems in there. Like most other artists, they go on like a severe drug decline immediately, so you can say, all right, there's their good period, there's their bad period. Prince has like these weird choppy like chapters to his life, so you have his first 2 albums are hit and miss, but you have like this like 10 years of greatness, and then a couple years where mostly really good, and then he gets in the new power generation. He was going from like a synthesis of rock and new wave, so he's going from that to the transition period, which is what we're doing now, which is so like the synthesis of rock and new wave to like this more flowery kind of psychedelic thing, to he immediately jumps back into like the new power generation thing, which is like rap, R&B, hip hop, etc. And then
I'm not a rap, R&B, hip hop kind of person, but I love
and some of that was really good.
That I got back into it.
Love Housequake.
It was accessible to me.
Like Diamonds and Pearls is a good album. The only legitimate consistent low point was during his Warner Brothers dispute with the Slave thing, where he was just making albums to get out of his record contract. Like Come is a depressing, god-awful album. Once I got out of that, like with Musicology, that was like 2005. Before that was like Rainbow Children and the purple spacesuit one that you always talk about. Rave Under the Joy, fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
So he started to come back out of his funk, and I think he got consistently better, except for that god-awful Jehovah's Witness album he did, Planet Earth. That album, it's the worst thing he ever recorded. But 31, whatever. He had a bit of a comeback, and there were some good songs in there. Spectrum Electrum was an interesting album. Anyway, we're getting to the thing. We're 20 minutes in already. Who wants to talk about his actual thing? That's the problem with this. I could talk about Prince for days.
All right.
That's the good
Tell
stuff.
me I'm right.
You could and you should.
He was an enigma. He was an enigma.
Oh, and he had a great ass. Everyone do your...
I don't have that one.
All right, here's... Unless there's a commercial, here's... Parade music from the motion picture Under the Cherry Moon by Prince. Here's Christopher Tracy's Parade. I don't know who Christopher Tracy is. I don't know if this is supposed to be a concept album, but...
Maybe that's the main character.
What's that squeaky sound?
That's the table you're on.
Sounds like a pirate ship. Why do you keep kicking
I don't
it?
know what you did.
Here on the... I don't know, what do pirates say?
I feel like I'm
Out
on a
here
frozen
in
ship getting killed by a abominable snowman.
No touching. Okay.
No touching.
Take 2. Parade music from under the cherry motion picture moon. Here's
Wait. Do it again.
So this has the illusion of being a concept album, I guess. Like the sound difference between Around the World in a Day, where like this, it sounds like the songwriting is still very similar, but he's using more natural instruments, where there's still primarily a lot of synthesizer, and yeah, like the main difference from that to this is just the use of real instruments for the first time to really good effect, because like the actual songwriting is still very similar.
Yeah, like the harmonizing, the vocals all sound like Prince, the backup, all that, but the instrumentation doesn't immediately sound like Prince to me.
Yeah, it's a lot more lush. There isn't just that hard synthesizer sound that was pretty much a staple up until this point.
Yeah, it's almost quieter.
And I don't know what mood he was in, but I adore this 2 or 3 or period where the music just sounds like flowers. I try to compare it to other things. Like often it's labeled as Baroque pop, which is usually what people reserve for like kind of really sophisticated psychedelic. Or all right, that was Christopher Tracy's Parade. Here's New Position. You might recognize this one. I think this is on one of his extended greatest hits. Yeah, so it still has like
is that a xylophone?
I think it's a steel drum, but it still has like the cool minimalist funk. But on this album, why I love it is that he masters layers, where it's just anybody else who attempts some of the stuff on this, it just sounds like a cluster. in the mix. He makes this wall of sound somehow work while still, so it varies from like the cool minimalist Prince beat stuff to just awesome contrast back and forth. So like really heavy dynamics, which I love.
I'm just hearing this song and I'm immediately thinking, when did Batman come out?
That was 89, so 3 years later.
This song here feels like a precursor to that.
Yeah.
Like that factory.
If a man is considered guilty for what goes on in his mind, then give me the electric chair for all my future crimes. I'm guilty! That's a
Bat dance!
Some of Prince's most underrated songs are on the Batman soundtrack.
Not in this house. Bat dance!
Maybe that's it. You're just thinking of Bat dance!
Something.
I'm probably going to keep harping on the
Big
same
email.
point, but he could rock minimalism better than anybody. And so, for me, this album it's one of these I've always come back to where it's like a brilliant train wreck of, not a train wreck, like a brilliant, a really nice train wreck. A good train wreck. Whatever the opposite of a train wreck is. Alright, here's I Wonder You.
I got by a pillow.
Yeah, and the cool thing is most of this album segs together. Is almost like one long song. I think there's only like 2 or 3 breaks in the album. Yeah. Oh god. This album is like the perfect amalgamation of awesome, sexy minimalism and just big, bizarre soundscapes of sounds that don't really go together, which he kind of pioneered in Around the World in a Day, where he was purposefully doing bizarre, like atonal things that don't really work. And that album wasn't great, but I think he had to do that in order to get to this.
I like this. What's this one called again?
I Wonder You.
I'm like super into it, and it's been on.
Yeah, but like the song grabs me so quickly that it doesn't matter that it's that short. It's just like, yeah, I got the point immediately.
Yeah, it's trying to sell me a car.
It's so brilliantly simple. I don't even know what to say. Here's Under the Cherry Moon. It's like a classic, sort of mysterious sounding ballad that almost harkens back to something and. And Jason just sitting there like, this isn't...
I'm trying to hear what you're hearing.
This isn't Me So Horny by Two Live Crew.
It's definitely not that.
Under the cherry moon. This is why we can't do albums that I love. Because I probably don't really know why I love them. And no one else does.
Sounds like those 60s horror movies. Oh, here comes Frankenstein.
Oh yeah, it's like there's a through track to this album. There's this consistent beat that almost permeates the entire album. That started off from the very beginning, which is the that thwip with the reverse, like that super gated drum sound. It's like this consistent through line for this album that's super cool and just so it gives the impression of like a consistent through line. Where did everyone go?
I was trying to find the name of the artist that was on I Wonder You, and it's not to be found.
I'm sure it was Vanity, or Morris, or Apollonia.
By the way,
Girls and
Wikipedia
Boys.
says that was a musical comedy drama.
What was?
The movie.
What movie?
Under the Cherry Moon.
A musical comedy drama?
Now I have to go back and look.
Well, I guess if you just call it everything, then you don't ever have to put a name on it. It's a musical comedy drama.
And it's a 1986 American musical comedy drama film.
A musicomadrome?
Directed by and starring Prince in his directorial debut.
Oh no, he directed it?
Yes.
What the f*** is a musical comedy drama? That's everything.
You forgot the word film. It's a musical comedy drama film.
It's not a film.
Oh, that makes my head hurt.
For me,
I like it.
For me, this one is just so effortless. It's magical, happy clouds in a sunny day album where he's not trying that hard because
it's wedding reception song. Like he's like the queen, or rather the prince of wedding songs. This one would fit nicely in a wedding reception.
You're
It's
right.
bouncy.
It's a wedding
It's
reception
danceable.
album.
It's funky.
You nailed it. You had stuff like Something in the Water Does Not Compute. Those songs where Prince is just screaming his lungs out. He's like, I must make this work, and it works. But it's just refreshing, a refreshing contrast where it just feels very effortless. There's a different side of Prince where he's not just screaming his lungs out.
Yeah, this is just, it's a little ditty.
And there's a lot of French on it. The roles have reversed. How does it feel?
About what?
You know.
Oh, you do that one more time, you're gonna have Ziggy in your lap, and not in a good way.
Oh no.
He keeps looking at you.
You
Now
got
I
his
know how it
attention.
feels to be you. Hey, Van Halen.
Hey, Van Halen. Yeah, 5150 came out
You
the
can
same
talk
year.
about whatever you want. I'm not gonna just splooge on this the whole time.
What?
Oh, no, I think you should definitely just splooge on it the whole
I think
time.
you're just splooging on it the whole time. I don't really know what you're talking about.
No one has any objection to that.
I don't have to, but I'm going to.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
Alright.
This song is pleasant.
Alright, fine. I will never do an album I truly love on this again. Except for Abacab.
Okay.
We can pretend like there was a malfunction in the equipment.
You can edit it.
Hey, welcome to episode 10.9.10.5. The Ziglet is munching his cottage cheese. I recognize my failures and I move on like Abraham Lincoln.
What is going on? Where'd you find this? Okay.
I want it on me. I need the interrogation. All right.
Tell us what you really think.
It's a podcast debacle.
We're doing Depeche Mode.
All right, we're now doing... Sorry if you liked that last one, but we're doing Depeche Mode Violator. Violator's an amazing, crapping album.
Does it go above or below the 150 line?
The what line?
The 150 line.
150 line.
What's the 150?
You said-
5150?
No, you said it was the Prince song. The album was above the 150 line.
Oh.
Top 150 albums.
Oh. I think... Oh. Yeah. This is in there. Oh, no. Yes, this is in...
Oh no, it's in there.
But this is more accessible.
I don't hate this one.
So I realized halfway through the last one that it was one of my niche albums that just gives me a boner, but not everyone else. Anyway, here's Violator. Do you have any thoughts about Violator? Where were you in 1991?
I wouldn't even have known what Depeche Mode was if Heather... I got to listen to whatever I wanted when we drove to class every day, but when we came home, we had to listen to whatever Heather wanted to listen to. Mm-hmm. And she loved Depeche Mode. And she only had one tape, so I had to listen to music for the masses or something. And then when Violator came out, I was like, well, this one's actually good. Can we listen to this one? She's like, sure, I bought it. And I'm like, damn.
Oh. Duran Duran. I hate Duran Duran. They're the only 80s band I don't like, but the one thing I do like from them is that album they put out in the early 90s with Ordinary World and Come Undone. I think those are the two best songs they ever did because they're not annoying. So they made a good transition, but nobody, it was just a perfect transition from 80s synth pop to something that was hip and relevant. And Violator still kind of is one of those really influential albums that has stood the test of time, and they kind of repeated the formula. Don't ask me to name subsequent albums, but they've done a good job of staying relevant, like where they've been ahead of the curve on like what makes good synth pop. They know what sounds will stay relevant. It's not
Right.
So some of the early stuff was a bit suspect, but they quickly got over that and kept going on a cool trajectory. Here's World in My Eyes.
Bum, 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 bum.
I don't know why you can tell when something's done ironically, because you're still getting some of that same sort of cliche blanky synth sound. It's one of those mysteries of music, one of those weird things that's beyond analysis. If this had been used in a slightly different context, it would be cheesy. And they had used these same sounds in a previous context, and those things didn't age that well. So
Right.
I have no idea what that weird little mystery middle ground is, but...
See, what I hear when I listen to this is, right off the bat, I just go, this was the transition from the 80s into the 90s for, like, pop music.
But yeah, like, what's the difference? Like, it's so subtle.
This is a little deeper, a little
this bass line
darker.
feels like Madonna to me,
It's
but
darker,
the rest of
Yeah.
it doesn't.
No. Madonna came a year later than this.
No. The bass line of this feels like early Madonna to me.
Well, if you listen to the lyrics.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the lyrics.
I think it's
Talking
how
about the
they're
background.
using
You're
it.
talking about transition. I'm saying like the.
Let me give you this. I'll paint you a picture. This song to me sounds like the back room of those places we went in the 90s.
Oh.
Not where the singers were.
No
the
humping.
back part.
Stop it.
Sweet lovin'.
There will be no humping.
It's
This
so
is more like what you would listen to after the show, if that makes any sense.
yeah, like it's so cool because this is 1991.
It's
and
like-
by this point, hip hop has already taken over, so it still sounds like the 80s as far as the general soundscape, but they had taken a darker turn. Because it's not like optimistic, like talk about pop music or dun, 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 dun.
Right.
Where they're clearly taking a lyrical, darker turn. They're using that sort of 80s synth pop in a darker way.
Right.
Which
is the 90s in a nutshell. It's like everybody just talking about what's really going on. Like, instead of a happy, yay, this is how everything is great.
yeah, because as a society, we generally like to make like distinct periods for things, but it's like stuff overlaps in huge,
Right.
weird, bizarre ways. So
But something has to come along and make you...
I don't know if it was before or after this, but
This
I
is
love
like
I love
Morrissey for people who don't like Morrissey.
I love their song. I think that I don't want to start any blasphemous rumors, but I
Right.
think that God has a sixth sense of humor. Yeah, where
Good singing. Good job.
they love that one on Sirius XM. Shout out to what's his name?
It's like how Pandora loves...
Richard Blade. I feel
yeah.
bad for that
Richard
dude.
Blade is still working?
Yeah,
Pandora loves
I hear Sweetest Perfection.
frickin' Soundgarden.
By the way,
I feel bad for Richard Blade. Doesn't get any vacation time. He's
I feel bad for Chris
like-
Cornell because he gets played like he's pop music. And it's like,
Sweetest Perfection.
he had a great bunch of songs.
Yeah, but Richard Blade was the first VH1 video. What do they call him? VJs. When VH1 was a half-hour show on like WGN or some shit that was on like once a
this
week.
song is so sexy.
He was the guy. I can't believe he's still alive, let alone working.
Yeah, so I think Depeche Mode was one of those consistent through lines through decade barriers where, like, U2 was not, because they were consistently changing up their sound they were evolving rapidly from album to album. Depeche Mode was still one of those few that was carrying on the 80s. Like, even Madonna quickly went from, cliche 80s sound to more of an
Cliche 90s
adult
sound?
more of an adult contemporary type thing. And like, yeah, Duran, like instant shift.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's the 90s.
It killed a bunch of
So-
bands.
so
So,
for the-
if anybody
yeah,
ever made
yeah.
it, if anybody
And that's
made it
what-
past 1991, they were like considered. Well, you must be an amazing band.
Yeah, for some
Because
reason,
that was like
80s
the-
and 90s was
somewhere around 89 to 92, because it was like you had to either conform or
It was a killer for a lot of bands because you had grunge and the rise of hip hop, which eclipsed a lot of.
Well, not quite. It was still like this weird metal thing going on where like heavy metal was like getting into everything else in like 90 to 92, right in there,
but
where they were like melding together.
Construct that this concept that things happen in decade packages.
Yeah.
It's nonsense.
It's where gangster rap started.
But they reinforced it by changing what they did from 89 to 92, and they created a demarcation there. And out of something that used to be just a fake, people think of things in terms of decades, but things don't really happen that way.
No. Obviously, like, clear demarcations don't make any sense, but you can still find bands that have, like, a bizarre through line through trends. And for me, Depeche Mode is one of those.
Oh, I totally agree with that, yeah. But I think certain bands change their style around the time of the change of the decade and just reinforce that construct that doesn't actually have any basis in reality.
Yeah. Yeah, because in this, it's almost half and half where you still have that very clear sense of 80s Depeche Mode, but they're getting into like a darker use of synthesizer, which heralds Nine Inch Nails.
Well, I get it. They're still using the same tools, but they know they get to be more.
It's not, I'm walking on sunshine.
Yeah. It's like we get to talk about real things.
I love this. Can I buy this from you?
Sex and drugs and
alcohol.
Like I said, this is like the back room of the club. This isn't where the person is singing out front. This is the music you were listening to in the back of the club. Madonna's playing, but then after that's over, they go back and they're listening to Morrissey or the Smiths and stuff. That's how things were changing. Reach out, touch faith.
There it is. Yeah.
Personal Jesus.
No, we're missing PJ.
Yes, you are. You are missing PJ.
And we're going to pause it and go back and begin again. We should tell everybody.
Reach out and touch me.
Penis. Oh. Jesus.
For the longest time, I always thought he was saying. I thought he was saying, "Reach out and touch me." For some, and I still think that would be a better lyric because for some reason, reach out, touch faith.
You're such a.
I thought they were switching back and forth between the two words.
Personal.
Like I don't know why.
Jesus.
I guess I could analyze it, but for some reason,
someone to be your friend.
Reach out, touch faith. It doesn't really make sense to me for some reason.
No, that's why I thought I could hear that they were saying faith now and then, but. It seemed to me like they were switching back and forth between me and Faith.
Yeah.
One
for some reason, I always thought it was reach out, touch me.
I think you're both missing the awesomeness of this.
You're right.
It sounds like a Western song with synthesizers. And the guy that made the video picked up on that and dressed them up like cowboys on the video. One of the few videos I've ever watched.
Yeah, it's an awesome music video. Really.
Like, who are these guys? Oh, that's that band I had to listen to all the time?
Where they're all carrying acoustic guitars. Like, there's no real instruments in this.
Yeah.
Who cares?
What does a Depeche Mode concert look like?
But this is a song.
Because they tour now.
Who cares?
Yeah.
But whatever his name is, the lead singer of Depeche Mode, I love that dude, especially early on. He always wore flannel shirts with his pants really hiked up. And he was the most awkward. He looked like Rick Astley. He'd had the most awkward on-stage dances. I love that dude. I don't know why.
When this album came out, I didn't do that anymore.
Yeah, it was just
chaps and a cowboy hat. Yeah. I was like, we're doing black and white, or actually the blue filter, and he's dancing around, and you're like,
there's one of those bands with this album, maybe the one before, I don't know what it was, but where the cool factor went up 30% with this album. They somehow found their balls.
They totally became relevant in the United States. Yeah. Make you a believer.
Yeah, if you ever listen to Sirius XM, Richard Blade on Sirius XM.
Forgiven.
Every 15 minutes he'll give his gushing boner about Depeche Mode.
I can't really fault him on that.
Also, they probably made him on VH1 when it was a half-hour show.
This is 91. That was the same year as Octung Baby, right?
Yeah.
And they have the same spirit to them. They don't really sound anything alike.
But that realism is there. There's no more, Reagan's gone, it's more about let's be real. Let's, it wasn't that poppy ba 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 ba.
But I'm trying to describe, because for some reason in my mind, and I'm getting like that weird abstract, the way people interpret music in some weird abstract way. Like, I very much equate this with Octung Baby, but spiritually they are, and I can't really describe why. Maybe like the same attitude. Like, music conveys an attitude.
In that case about it.
Speaking of sploogey, let's do Octung Baby. I could splooge all over that.
Listen,
someday.
One of the things you were saying, I was like, how this is so exciting, and it was different, like I keep trying to say. It's like, songs got more about what was really happening, about how you really felt. Like, not pie in the sky, raspberry beret. It was more about reach out, touch, faith.
I think of Depeche Mode as being one of the first bands that I know of that was talking about different aspects of sexuality. Mm-hmm. And being more direct about, they were more open about it than most. I think of them as one of those bands that kind of ushered in a more open dialogue in music about those issues. Mm-hmm. Obviously Culture Club and a half dozen other bands in the 80s had drag queens as their front man, but they weren't really talking about the fact that they like boys. Like, I'm a boy and I like boys.
Clean policy of truth, enjoy the silence. Like a song like "People Are People." It's more like neutral and on.
Or like daisies as opposed to orchids. When you're standing in the hallway between the bathrooms talking to each other, that's what this album sounds like.
Yeah, because you could find any contemporary album or even something 2 years earlier or even later where it's just whatever synthesizers they chose or the way they approached them got dated and cheesy immediately. And I don't know, there's that super fine line of the way somebody approaches the soundscape that they're using, and for some reason Depeche Mode just hit it perfectly on the head with this album. This album still holds up. Like, there are people making albums now that aren't that different from this.
I hear things all the time and I go, hey, is this an old song or a new song? But it's not, like you were saying before, it's not.
I feel like I just keep doing this little, yeah! Yeah! Right,
but it's not.
We've reached a new area of this podcast where, for some reason, Violator is like the perfect whirlpool of weird decade influences, where it's very much, part of it's very much 80s and part of it is very much moving forward. And you're sort of getting into this, all right, why do certain frequencies and moods, why are they timeless? And for me, this album is, they just hit a mood almost perfectly, and I can't describe it. It's just you feel it. I love me a good
dirge. I love some melancholy music, and they do it really well.
Oh, when you will be hearing. Was that what's her name? Who married Ben Affleck? Waiting for tonight. It's J-Lo. Clean.
I listened to it 2,000 times with Heather.
Clean.
So I'm good.
That's what I'm going to title this podcast. Is 2,000 times with Heather.
I'm listening to your jam.
I understand a lot of it is like, okay, certain synthesizers get used in a way that makes them cliche. A certain sound gets overused. So you're getting into like weird territory of like, why do certain frequencies get associated with, like, something gets over-popularized in a certain sound. For some reason, this song didn't. Yeah, because this sounds totally contemporary. So the album is not like perfectly timeless. There are very few albums like that, and I don't know how the hell someone sets out to do that. But I know neither guys listen to him, but the Talk, Mark Hollis, he actually said he set out to make a timeless album. And in my opinion, he did. I know you don't know what I'm talking about, but in my opinion, they made like 3 albums that you can't pinpoint a time with them. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how the hell you set out to do that. And it's probably more difficult if you're using synthesizers, but I guess you just have to have a really good ear. I don't know.
So some English people,
They're just better than us.
When those bands, like the Clash knew that post-punk was. Well, the Clash knew when post-punk was coming and got on that train, and their sound is like that, or were they doing it and then it became cool? I don't know why. Like I don't know.
They're
I have to think about it and I have to listen to it like this. It's like I know it changed something, but I don't. Why? Oh, we're in joyless silence. Break the silence and come crashing into my little world. They will do me ribs right
I could have
through
sworn I
me.
texted her. What the fuck is going on?
Oh, I think he texted me.
No, no.
It's a very unnecessary.
How did I do that?
They can only do wrong.
It's veering into
Melancholy. It's like in a thing that was like I was trying to give credit to like Smiths, Morrissey. They had that melancholy thing going, but it wasn't very radio friendly.
Maybe
this is more radio friendly.
Maybe it's like a malaise. Yeah, this kind of melancholy malaise that kind of makes something timeless, I guess, because if something's too happy...
I have to dirge this up a bit.
If it's too happy or too sad...
All I ever needed is here in my arms. Words are very unnecessary.
Yeah, this song sounds like they're at the 80s party that everyone got bored with.
And everybody's going back to listen to them? Because they're f***ing around in the back room.
Yeah, it sounds like the 80s cocaine party got really boring and somebody moved on to a different room or something. I don't...
Exactly.
And they said, hey, we're still here. We're still doing our thing.
Although...
That's a lot of what the early 90s was, is just everybody just going, let's go hear what the experimental people were doing. This sounds like somebody who heard the next sound, right? And just went...
If I was going to do the filler bell, it would
Don't
just be
you
at the...
dare, not on this song.
I won't, but it would just be at the end of the song when they have the super pretentious, where the song fades out and he goes, enjoy the silence. Like, yeah, we get it. We get it.
It was kind of recorded, right?
But that was like, got him on the radio.
Oh no. Am I going to have to... Am I going to have to sit through 2 minutes until...
Ting! Wait.
So I have to sit through 2 minutes of
Enjoy the
silence.
silence and then...
I'm not
there's
doing that.
actual silence for us. For 2
Oh,
minutes.
there's an actual...
Oh, what's this about?
Oh, I didn't
Oh, you didn't know there was an instrumental
Sorry.
afterwards?
Sorry, guy from Depeche Mode. Can you look up his
Sorry,
name?
Heather.
He deserves a name.
Look at
Ralph.
us. We're halfway
Ralph.
skipping your
Sorry,
songs.
Ralph from Depeche Mode.
This is a
Ralph.
disaster.
His name is Ralph Depeche.
Sorry. Sorry, Ralph Depeche.
Because it's his mode.
Meow 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 meow.
Bam!
Never again is what you thought.
We should start it over again. We didn't tell anybody.
Nobody. Whatever. Somebody please look up the lead singer of this band.
I don't know. I kind of enjoy you not knowing. I'll look it up, but I'm not going to tell you.
They're basically if Duran Duran weren't total garbage.
No, they're better than that.
In a policy of truth.
Meow 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 meow
Bam!
meow 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 meow.
Ziggy's running out of the way.
Again is what you swore.
Do we have any guesses on the names?
Oh, it came into my
Bam.
brain for a second,
I
and
have 5
now
names.
it's gone.
Would you
Give
like
me
to
a
guess
second, I'll
any
try to
of
guess.
the first names?
Edwin Starr,
No,
Peter Frampton,
not even a little bit. Martin Gore?
Martin Gore.
He's not even listed first. What
I
do you want
said
from
Dave
me?
Sphincter.
Martin Gore.
No, you said Spencer Sphincter,
Yeah, Martin Gore is
which is a way better name.
Martin Gore's a golden god. Like he was super unhip, and he would do these horrible dances on stage.
Yeah.
Meow 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 meow.
He
meow.
did sphincter protecting dances.
Ugh, yay.
Is Troy Amos the one that sings about dead dogs
Yeah.
in cages?
But the problem...
No, that's Sarah McLachlan.
So she does a really great cover of this. The problem is you don't delve too deep into her cover catalog because all she does is take late 80s, early 90s pop songs and just do super slow, depressing ballads.
No way!
And 1 out of every 5 times they work.
Are you sure she's not the one that sings about dying dogs?
No, that's Sarah McLachlan.
Yeah.
In the arms of an
Beow.
angel.
We can do a 3-parter and just skip to the final countdown.
I really enjoyed the Prince album. I may actually go listen to the whole thing.
Okay.
So that's pretty high
She
rating.
won't. Don't listen to her. She won't. What she'll do is she'll listen to the same thing we already listened to, and then she'll go, I'm going to listen to Purple Rain.
That second Extreme album
Whoa, no.
was bad.
You're a bitch. Or that Striper album he keeps bringing up. I keep going, nope, you have to do that with Chris. Because I won't do it. I will not
son
do
of a
Striper.
bitch.
I won't do it. I can't.
You
You
will.
wouldn't
I
dare.
can't. I won't.
Here's the next song from REM.
Oh, God.
10th episode extravaganza.
10th episode. Woo, woo,
And
woo!
Chris is going to bed.
To the Lost.
She's
I
out.
am now one of the Lost.
All right, give your thoughts on the final countdown.
It was stupid when I heard it. It's stupid now.
You guys can continue.
I don't understand why it wasn't on a Rocky soundtrack.
Right?
It
I don't
wasn't.
understand
You're
why it
absolutely
wasn't.
right
It's
about
my
that.
parting gift before I throw myself off a roof. That part when Rocky...
And maybe they've seen us.
Sinus and Venus. It's like if Eddie Van Halen had epilepsy. Yeah, the final countdown to what? There's America. Let's go through and name all of the places that have bands named after them.
All right.
America.
Boston.
Asia.
Chicago.
You can do song titles too, because I can't think of Africa.
It's America and Asia. And then Boston.
Europe.
Aerosmith.
Boston.
You're not even done with the A's.
Aerosmith counts. There's technically an Aerosmith, Illinois.
Angel.
So
BTO. I gotta pee.
wanna
Listen
hear
to Carrie
now-
while I pee.
Carrie and Ninja. We should have listened to Asia.
Oh, your 10th episode is
I
gonna
love
be
Asia.
a freaking
Whatever.
shit show.
What a debacle. It's a farty party.
She keeps farting.
No!
You know, I thought I would like to
Rock
go to...
the night.
You know, I thought I would like to go to Europe one day. And then I listened to Europe, and then I thought, maybe I would not like to go to Europe.
Who's that Canadian band that I hate? Rush, Subdivision.
Extreme.
I'm picking first. Subdivisions.
Oh, alright. I don't know why you would pick that. You could do a whole album. Alright, whatever. Fuck it.
I wonder who that voice is that goes, Subdivisions. In the backs of cars. Oh, that's a subdivision.
That's totally a subdivision.
Man, Geddy Lee is an ugly, ugly man.
Is he?
He couldn't have been more than like 35 at that point. He still looked like he was 50 years old.
Yeah, he didn't age well.
It's one of those things that drives me nuts where you can tell he writes lyrics beforehand and they don't try to fit them to the music in any kind of organic way. Where it's just, here's a thing that I wrote out in my junior high journal and we're going to shoehorn them into this song.
As I get older, I like things more when I go back and listen to them because I have a more mature ear and like what they're talking about or whatever. And then other people, I just go, "Woo, that got worse. I don't like it." You know, it's like, no, I'm out. Screw it. Hey, how do you like that salsa?
Ooh.
Day destroys the night. Day destroys the night. Night divides the day. Try to run, try to come. Bring on through to the other side. Bring on through to the other side. Bring on through to the other side. Yeah.
They knew how to get your attention right off the bat. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Joanna's here.
Hey! Thank God. He's been waiting for you. I mean, Ziggy's been waiting for you. Have a seat.
Don't hurt me
It's all right.
no more.
Oh, come here.
He likes the buttons.
Yeah. Shh. Yeah, I know.
This didn't go well.
I said no. Hey. I said, look at me.
All right. Any final thoughts on the cavalcade of crap?
No. Be quiet.
And the podcast is dead. Goodbye. Thanks for. Enjoy the silence. Yeah, we get it.
Bing!
We get it.